Okay.
Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of Soaring Through Chaos. And as always, the reason we do this is to share our life with each other. And these are challenging times. The chaos that comes with the pandemic is we don't know what's going to happen in anybody's life. Some of us are worried about our health. Some are worried about losing relatives and friends. Some are worried about jobs and sustainability. And there's a lot of divisiveness anywhere you go. So, among the few people that give me hope, those are the people I've been talking to almost every day. One of them is Stacey Butcher. Stacey is an angel I got to know thanks to Spirit Rock. I first met her at Spirit Rock, I think more than a decade ago, more than 10 years ago.
Yeah.
How have you been, Stacey, and what brought you to Spirit Rock?
Yeah, I worked there for 5 years, and it was interesting because I had gone on a really long traveling journey that really changed my life. And when I came back, I had been working in fundraising and event planning, things like that, and things just had shifted. And so I wanted something that was more fulfilling. And through a series of events, ended up working at Spirit Rock for 5 years. So yeah, I feel
And it
really
was
lucky.
and it was such an amazing thing because the very first time my wife and I came to Spirit Rock, there was this person just receptive, just allowing us in. And I don't know how many times I went after that, but it became like another of this, the religious journeys going back to Spirit Rock, and just 2 hours away from South Bay. And the
Mhm.
next time I met you was at Five Rhythms, so at your
Yeah,
prayers, when
yeah,
you were facilitating. And that was another great meditative experience. So
definitely.
tell me about it. You've been doing these moving meditation center, all the open floor dances and all that. How how did you get to these practices? What inspires you? It's been my life, by the way, or since
Yeah,
2003.
yeah. Well, it's funny because it was really, I think my doorway in was actually at Spirit Rock, where I was really immersed in my Vipassana meditation practice. I was doing the 1 month retreat, the 2 month, I was doing every retreat. I was a very good yogi. And, Julie Wester, I think she's retired now, but she's one of my favorite teachers at Spirit Rock. And she had a Thursday morning women's group. And she would do, at the beginning of the group, she would do movement without music. You'd close your eyes and she'd have you move your body in various ways before you sat on the cushion. And it was like, oh, like this is cool. Like I could sit, well, back then I could sit for hours. Now my knees are a little older, but it really opened something in me. And then uh, another teacher did a day long, and she did a little portion on the five rhythms. Like she played Gabrielle Roth CD and had everybody dance to the five rhythms. I was like, wow, this is fun. Like it was just this whole new thing. And so I ended up looking up classes, and away we went. Once I got in and got started, I was started doing 5 classes a week. I was just hooked. And because I found it was a way that, like, it's one thing to sit on the cushion and be in meditation, and that's a beautiful practice, which I still love. And I felt like the dance helped me take it off the cushion more. 'Cause
Yes,
I would
yes.
see that a lot because I was the registrar for the retreats at Spirit Rock, and I would see that a lot where people would sit. They could be the best yogis, but it's like, are you bringing that into your life? It's like once people are off the cushion, it's like that didn't happen sometimes.
Yeah.
It trickles into your life, but I find with the movement, it's much more. It's almost like it got in my body quicker, or it infiltrated my life more. It didn't feel separate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. In fact, I got into Five Rhythms also through Vipassana. I
Oh, really?
began my Vipassana practice in 2002.
Uh-huh.
And after doing it for more than a year and a half, my body was just, and there was this recurring thought that I've become too tamasic. My body has become too stiff.
Yeah.
So I needed to move. But as you know, I had never danced in my
Mm.
adult life. So
Yeah.
I literally Googled on Dance with No Steps.
Oh, wow.
And Dance with
That's
No Steps, and it showed me Mountain View, 5 rhythms. And I showed
perfect.
up there.
That's so, yeah, you danced there with Claire for a long time, right?
Yeah, from 2003 all the way till I left the United States, which is 2016. But every time I'm back
Wow.
there, I'm always back on the dance floor.
Yeah.
And it's
Nice.
amazing because, as you said, it's like, how do you move self awareness through life?
Yeah.
To me, that's the practice.
Yeah.
So, and you've been a facilitator for many of these dance practices.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been teaching for 10 years now. Yeah. Been
And
teaching
what I
dance.
find really amazing is that nobody even needs to know that. You don't even have to spell it out. But when you are facilitating, that there's this quality of awareness that's totally meditative. You
Mm.
bring our attention back to the body and to ourselves first, and then
Mm-hmm.
to the other, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in the interpersonal and the intrapersonal. Tell me, what is it? What does meditation mean to you in this context of bringing it to the whole world?
Yeah, to me, meditation, more than being something you just do and sit on a cushion to do, is more about awareness of the present moment, right? So even if you're picking up your teacup and taking a sip, it's feeling the warmth of the tea as it goes down and feeling the weight of the cup in your hand. Like those are moments of meditation when you're really present. I love Jack Kornfield used to talk about, he had a talk called like Enlightenments, and he talked about those little, that moment where you just, these little moments of enlightenment that we miss. We're looking, we sit on the cushion and we're looking, and I know this place, like, I gotta reach nirvana, I gotta, and we're looking for God out there, but it's right here, right? She's here, he's here, they're here, like, and so for me, it's about bringing awareness in the movement. So, it doesn't become about dance or steps. Like you said, you looked for dance without steps, right? It's more about what's actually happening in my body. And I even work a lot now on a sensate level, right? Like okay, tightness in the chest. How does that move? Right? And it frees up more when we can bring attention to the body. It actually frees up the body, first of all, to have more capacity to hold tough times. And like, I'm so grateful for my practice with everything that's going on right now, right? Is that ability to be fluid. Now it's like that. Okay, now it's like that. you know? Yeah, it's been but I really think dance gave me a really good foundation, or I should say movement, because it's dance, but it's really more movement. It's given me
Yeah.
that foundation to move with whatever hits me, rather than just getting knocked down. Not that that doesn't happen, but I know how to get back up. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and this idea of dance with no particular steps really has changed my life. I've been
Yeah.
lucky to have brought it back and met with the community in India. There
Yeah.
are literally thousands of practitioners of different forms of meditative movement.
Hmm.
And I've been learning a lot about the different forms and integrating that into my life.
Nice.
What brought you to any of these practices? Because, nobody wants to sit on the cushion for entertainment.
Right. That's very true, actually. Yeah, it's a good question. It was kind of a long, slow journey in a way. Like I can remember the first moment I read a book that I had a aha moment of, and I still had nothing to do with meditation or anything, conscious or spiritual. But I think I was reading one of Shirley MacLaine's books, her Out on a Limb books, and something in there spoke to, like, I remember that moment of just like, there's something else. There's just something else, and it still took a while before, like, I was a very different person, long ago. And, I was getting my business degree and I wanted to get my MBA. And it's like, if you told me I'd be doing what I'm doing now, I would have laughed in your face. But I think the thing that really changed things was when I started traveling, because I actually took off in 94. I'd always dreamed of traveling, and I ended up taking off for a year in 94, which ended up being 2.5 years. and then coming home for a year and going for another 2.5. So it was this just journey of discovery and opening up, getting out of my regular routine and seeing different ways of life. I was in Africa for a year and a half, and Asia for a year. Like I was telling you before, I was in India for 6.5 months. And I did my first meditation retreat in India. I did a Goenka retreat in Jaipur. And, one thing led to another. And I ended up doing a Thai massage course in Thailand. And I remember that was the first time I really started to feel energy moving. So it just kept, one thing kind of led to another, and it just built and built. And eventually, I found myself really steeped in a practice. And yeah, it's kind of interesting to think about that long kind of journey and, and different life circumstances happening. Like I lost a few people, had some tragedies where it was like this kind of getting knocked in the face of, what do I want to be doing? Do I really want to work in some corporate job for the rest? No. What am I doing?
Yeah. In
So,
fact, I actually worked in the corporate and entrepreneur space for 25 years.
yeah.
And finally got done in 2016.
Yeah. Wow.
And I've
Congratulations.
started my Eat, Pray, Love journeys now.
Nice. Nice. I'm in full support of Eat, Pray, Love journeys.
So during the pandemic, there's so much, agony going around us. There's so much anxiety. More than anything else, I see people in self-doubt,
Yeah.
confusion, and like not knowing what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
And I mean, the whole practice on the cushion or on the dance floor is about embracing chaos, is about
This
being in
is
the
the
moment.
practice. This is
So,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I so appreciate your Wednesday night dances and the periodic dances that you've been offering.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are free, or some of them are pay what you like, gift
Yeah.
economy. It's
Yeah.
such an amazing gift you're giving to the whole community of thousands
Thank,
and thousands of people,
thank
and
you.
as a free offer. Um, you're doing it to ecstatic dance community, right? Or was it, or is there? I think you're doing it to multiple communities.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because teaching online, which boy, I hated it when I first started
Yeah, yeah,
to workshops, but now I love it. Actually, it's really amazing. But what's interesting is it's not even necessarily geared toward a community. Like we really started with there's a big community in Marin, as you know. And so we started our weekend dances online, and then we turned that into a daily dance because everyone was hungry for it, which has been great. I mean, people are still showing up. We're now down to 4 times a week, but they're still showing up. And then I really kept getting in when I would dance as a student. I'm also a somatic experiencing practitioner, and I do some work where I combine somatic experiencing and open floor. And it kept saying, you got to teach something. And, even in all my resistance to teaching on Zoom. And I started teaching, I have a class I call Body as Resource, where I bring in somatic experiencing principles with the open floor. And I've been doing it every couple of weeks. And it's so great because it's been like people hear about it that people I've never heard of. I had someone from Kenya, I've had people from Germany and England, like people I know and people I don't know. So it's really been to like it started kind of Marin community, but it got wider and wider. And that is the beauty of being on Zoom, is that people from all over the world can come and dance. And I've had people who they had no idea what they were getting into,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's been fantastic to watch them just, first they're like, what is this? By the end, they're moving. So it's been fantastic. Yeah. I just had someone else sign up for this next Wednesday, who's never done it. She's like, I'm really excited about trying this. Great. Yeah.
Yeah, I've done many classes face to face, but I still shy away from doing online because it takes a lot of experience and presence, which I
Yeah.
appreciate. People like you are doing it so gracefully, so amazingly. And I'm still happy to
Yeah.
be a student. I'm still happy to
Yeah.
be a learner.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing, is doing it on Zoom. People are learning. We were talking about this, a couple teachers and I, that as we've watched people over the time on Zoom, you can see them drop more into themselves because
Yeah,
there are some people who come more for connection or just to be social, which is totally fine. That's great, right? But didn't really know how to go in as much. And now they have to, right? I mean, we find ways for them to connect through Zoom, but there's a way that if you want to really do it, you got to connect to yourself. So there's a real gift there in a way of really bringing people in. You know, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
It's funny. I actually was trying to cut my, the gray hair. I'm at that age in my life when there was a little bit of gray patch, and then I ended up
Yes.
shaving the whole thing. so,
I
so,
might do that if this grows out too much.
so it's interesting. I got a new name after that because I
Oh,
do
really?
these things on Zoom all the time, and
Yeah.
been also posting some dance videos. So they started calling me Zoom Baba.
I
He's the
love it.
Zoom Baba, and he makes us
Zoom
dance.
Baba.
Zoom Baba, Zoom Baba. So,
I love it. That's fantastic.
uh, yeah, and that's what I like. One of the best things I like about dance meditation is it brings us back to that inner child.
It
It
does.
awakens that inner child in a very natural way. We don't have
Yeah.
to. We don't have to do a practice that's not. But this is such a natural way of
Yeah.
celebrating life, moment to moment.
It is. And, you know, our body has an innate intelligence in it. And there are
Yeah.
things, you know, we talk about these stuck places in our bodies or, you know, and when we experience trauma, even like little traumas, right, it gets stuck in our body and our body wants to move it. It wants to move it, right? It wants to complete whatever response it had to that trauma. And dance is such a great way to do that without us having to even think about it or identify that event or the thing that happened. It just it just knows, you know, and we get to do it in a fun way and it, you know, connect to, so sometimes we'll feel even connected to a time in our life that might have been hard, but it feels more fun now, you
Yeah.
know, it connects to that part, which is just, I love that. Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, my experience of somatic practices is that it segues exactly there. In the middle of a dance, I'm feeling stuck, or I'm feeling
Hmm.
uncomfortable, or I go through the self doubt. And somatic practice comes in right there. Tell me
Oh yeah.
about it. Tell us about how the somatic practice complements the moving dance as well as the sitting meditation.
Yeah, well, for me, the main, well, there's a few things that one of them is, you know, bringing it back to a sensate level, right? Because we can get caught in our stories about how I am, or, you know, I remember sitting on a retreat. I tell this story a lot because it was such a good experience. Well, it was a hard experience, but I was on a 2-month retreat and I came in to meet with a teacher for like 10 minutes every couple days. And I came in, I'm like, I'm so angry, you know, and my teacher was Julie Wester, I think at the time. And she's like, so how do you know you're angry? I say that to clients all the time now, but she's like, you know you're angry. I'm like, she's like, what's the sensation? Like she really got me down to like, what's the sensation? It's like, okay, there's tightness in the chest. And we just stayed with that tightness in the chest. And then it turned out it really wasn't anger at all. It was like, I named it anger because that's what I thought anger felt like. But when I really got down to just pinpoint like, oh, here's the sense, like I had built up a whole story on top of a tight chest. And I see this a lot where we go into this whole, I mean, I do it all the time, you know, but it's like, oh, okay, what's actually happening right now? Like, okay, I can feel the pressure of my butt on the chair, right? I feel, as I move my hand, I feel the air on my skin, right? And that, just that little awareness, or like when we're moving, knowing I'm moving my hand, right? We can move our hands, but to actually like know it. And that's something that really brings us back to the present moment, you know, which that's the whole thing. That's the meditation, is being right here, right? Like if I start thinking about the future right now, I'll go nuts. You know, I have to, okay, right now, I'm here with, you know, Zoom Baba. Everything is good. You know, yeah, I feel like just, and the dance to me, that's the thing, the somatic part of it is it brings us back to knowing our body, to really knowing our body, you know, and getting curious and investigating under the stories, under what we think is true, to what's actually true. Yeah, because we never really know what's true, except
I
there's
know.
tingling in my.
We use
Yeah.
like 10 words to describe our emotions, and there are so many different sensations. There are so
Oh
many
yeah.
different nuanced feelings,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Definitely.
anger and lust and frustration and rage. And I mean, our vocabulary for understanding our own feelings is quite poor.
Yeah.
But then when
Yeah.
we start observing the body map,
Yeah.
there's so much to it.
There's so much more, and it's more fun to look at it that way because it's like for me, I get more curious rather than, you know, I think we have a tendency to want to put something in a box or name something or put meaning to it, or it's like, but there's such a beautiful moment of just meeting yourselves, and you know, there's, I don't know, I geek out on that. Maybe I need to get out more. I
In
do.
fact, it's interesting you mentioned the word geek out. I'm thinking of, remember Reuven Shalef, the guy from
Oh,
Israel? So
yeah.
Reuven and I became buddies on the dance floor
Right. So
in
funny.
Mountain View at the Sausalito, the Martin Luther King gym, and
Yep.
on a Sunday morning. And he
Yeah.
kept watching me because I was just circling him and dancing like crazy. And he was
Hmm.
like, you know, he's like the North Pole. He just stands sometimes. Just like, I'm ready for a hug, brother, anytime.
I can picture you both on the dance floor. That's totally, totally like,
And it's we were just talking about that before we both got into the dance practice. We got in like 4 years apart. I started in
mhm,
2003. I think he started more like 2008ish.
mhm,
We were geeking out all our life.
mhm,
Everything to us was like logical, step by
mhm,
step.
mhm.
Even feelings, you could analyze it and so on.
Right.
And once you're dancing like this, all the thoughts are just dropped. Even the thinking mind is dropped
Mhm.
because I'm so busy just being present to my own movement
Right.
and the sensations that come with the movement.
Yeah, exactly. And the beauty, one of the things I love about that we do an open floor too, since you brought up the mind, is because sometimes we do come in with the thinking, right? And so instead of it being get rid of the thoughts, it's like embody the thoughts. They're there. We
Yes,
need that, right? And as you meet them, like what's the quality of my mind? Is it like, you know, a lot of times it's like this. So let me meet that and move it. And that then is a doorway into the body, right? So rather than trying to get rid of things, that the dance brings you into, okay, we talk about move and include. So whatever you come with, emotions, thoughts, to once you move it, then that brings you to that state where it's background, right? You can be present with all of that being there, but background. It's not who you are, you know.
that's true. I mean, I love that phrase, move and include,
Isn't that
because it's
great?
all about acceptance.
It is.
And right now, there's a lot of things that we are feeling, thinking, worrying about. Do you
Yeah.
see that people do that? Are they able to bring, move, and include what's going on in their lives into the dance? Have you heard from
Yeah,
anybody describing how they're able to do that?
definitely. Yeah, I've definitely seen you know, where we'll make that invitation sometimes to really, I mean, that's been a big thing we've been encouraging people to do, is to not push out anything they're feeling. Like if you're frustrated and just want to throw a tantrum, great, take this whole dance to throw a tantrum. Let your body do that. Like let your body do what it wants. And I see people really come kind of pushing and tight. You know, you can see even in the little boxes, you know, the body's just kind of tight. And as they move, it frees up room for them to be okay with feeling how they feel. Because we should be upset, we should be sad, we should be grieving, we should be, this is all part of it. But we get like, I shouldn't do that, I need to. Like, no, that's all part of the practice. And we're going to have moments of joy. Let ourselves have the moments of joy also, you know. So
It's
I
not
really
proper.
see. What's that?
It's not proper.
Yes, exactly.
I know it's funny, but at the same time, there's one practice I've been doing with a close friend. Uh,
Mhm.
his father and his uncle, aunt, and his cousin are all right now in ICU.
Oh,
And
wow.
we make sure that we dance every day.
Mm.
It may be 5 minutes, it may be 10 minutes. He
Yeah.
calls me now, Shankar
Oh,
bhai, let's dance. And it's just 5 minutes, it's just 10 minutes. He brings
oh,
his whole life into the dance in those
wow.
five
That's
ten
amazing.
minutes.
That's
Then
amazing.
he goes back like, wow.
Yeah.
Today we did this. There was a dance called, it was the I Love You dance, but it's called Apna Time Aayega, which means my time is coming. Like, I'm coming.
Oh,
And I'm like, our time is here.
wow.
This is it. And then he goes like, this is it, dude. I'm facing the challenges in my life. He told me. And it's so
Wow.
gratifying to hear that.
That's amazing. I love it. It's like he's turning toward the experience rather than away from it. Like, let's dance through this rather than run away from it. That's the secret, you know?
Yeah, yeah. In fact, a lot of us, including me, had that experience. Initially, dance was an escape from
Yeah.
what is.
Yeah.
And then later, dance was an invitation to bring whatever is happening. It's like that Oriah Mountain Dreamer poem.
Yes.
It's an invitation to bring the dance of life. As you know,
It,
in India, we have this metaphor of the Shiva, the dancing Shiva.
yep.
The whole universe is the dance of the Shiva.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
it's like all the Sufis have that. The
Yeah.
dervishes, they're just letting the body move. And
Yeah.
body spinning like a top and the heart,
Yeah.
the still point. You just
Mm,
focus on that still point.
yeah. Yeah. It's really true. Yeah. It's amazing medicine.
Yeah, yeah. So what next? Where do you see yourself going? I know you've been doing all these practices.
Yeah, it's a
Uh,
good question, actually. I mean, I love teaching movement. And I also see somatic experiencing clients on Zoom, which is great. I'm able to do that. And, um, I think I'm just right now looking at ways to work more on Zoom for now, because it does not looking like we're doing anything else for a little while. So I'm just kind of following that. And I'm actually teaching in September. We have a 5-day immersion workshop on Zoom,
oh
which
wow, 5 day.
5 days. It's called the Ground Floor Lab, and in open floor, it's you have to take that workshop if you want to do the teacher training. It's kind of and it's actually a workshop where if you can do it if you just want to dive deeper, if you've done open floor and other practice and then you want to dive deeper. But we actually pull back the curtain. We talk about why we taught what we taught, and we have a dialogue about it. So it's really cool. And we'd postponed it, and we kept like, how are we going to serve these people? We finally went, okay, let's do it online, right? So we actually brought in another teacher just so to have some more dynamic energy. And so there's 3 of us working to teach that in September. And so that's been my whole month really is about that. It's a lot of energy and great. Like, I love how we're thinking outside the box of how to work online, how to give people breaks from Zoom, but have them still be doing their practice.
Mhm.
And the beauty is they're going to be in their homes, right? So we can give them little kind of explorations in their daily life. So it's been a
Oh,
really fun experience. So I feel like it's opening up possibilities of other, like I never would have thought of teaching a 5-day workshop online ever. And this is really going, okay, there are possibilities here, and it's a way to reach beyond just our local community to, others out there.
yeah.
So yeah, I feel like right now it's really, my focus is really about how to work online, of course, wanting to be back in person at some point, but yeah, for the moment, that's kind of the focus, and even I teach Reiki, and I'm teaching a class actually in a couple weeks with I teach it in the redwoods during the summer, and we're actually going to do it, but I'm limiting it, right? So we have more than 6 feet apart, and we're no touching, and so it's going to be interesting. But I'm even working on how can I do that online? How can I, so it's a whole nother, just when I thought I had it all figured out, because
And
I was
of course,
traveling.
I want you
Yeah.
to share all those links about your Reiki course, as well as definitely your the 5-day immersion that leads into becoming a teacher,
Yeah.
and your weekly and or the 4 weeks a day, sorry, 4 days a week,
Yeah.
the practice, because I
Yeah.
think it's so necessary.
Yeah.
This is not an advertisement. This is what changed my life, and I'm so
Absolutely.
grateful to all the
Yeah.
people who contributed. Stacey, you've been a big thing in my life.
Oh, thank
I've
you.
never probably said it face to face, but
Mm,
because I didn't do that, now I'm saying it on online on Zoom.
yeah.
So
Oh, so
you
sweet.
and Claire Alexander, Andrea Juhan, Gabrielle Roth, who is no longer with us in Embodied, but
Yeah.
Gabrielle, the mother goes, if you will.
She's
And there
still
are
here.
so and there are
Yeah.
so many teachers who really changed the way I even experience life moment to moment.
Yeah.
Just the
Yeah.
way I experienced life itself. And once I had done Vipassana, I thought I was done. I don't need
Mhm.
anything else. But
Yeah.
this,
I remember that feeling.
yeah. And it was for a few years, it was a couple years. But
Yeah.
then the body was stiffening. And
Hmm.
that's why this dance with no steps led me
Hmm.
step by step onto the dance floor.
Yeah.
Did I tell
Yeah.
you that I learned 20 different folk dances when I was in the last 3 years in
Yeah.
India? I
Really?
go
Wow.
around, yeah, the Garba and the Bhangra and the Dakla and everything. So every day I've been just doing these crazy dances. Because I
Oh,
still have to be honest, I still don't know how to facilitate online for a whole
hmm.
dance class. It
Yeah.
takes, it,
It's tricky.
it is tricky. And I've done it face to face, but face to face I can gather the vibes. I can actually
Hmm.
feel into people and they can feel into me. But
Yeah.
online, we have to be much more present.
Yeah.
The quality of presence required is a lot more. And that's why I'm
Yeah.
grateful that you all are doing it. I'm,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just a student when I'm online, or I'm just
Yeah.
doing my blissful dances. But honestly, it's a blessing at a time like this.
Hmm. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. I
People are
noticed for
feeling
me,
trapped in their homes, including me sometimes. Then
hmm.
I'm just able to just move.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We need
Yeah.
it. So need it right now.
It's like,
Yeah.
I gotta move it, move it. Madagascar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
So yeah, I'm so grateful again. And is there anything you would like to tell people? There are many of my friends who still think that dance is just that woo-woo practice, or it's only for women. And
Yeah.
I've been trying hard to tell my friends, especially from the world of engineering and
Yeah.
business, that just coming back to my body has been the best experience of my life since
Oh yeah.
2003. I mean, nothing beats that. Coming
Yeah.
back to my entire body has
Yeah.
been the single best practice that happened to me after Vipassana. Vipassana was amazing.
Yeah.
It made me aware of my bodily sensation. But
Yeah.
then when I was moving around, it was very distracting. And now there's no distraction. It's move and include,
Yeah.
truly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. Yeah. And it's interesting because we do have a lot of people from all walks of life who come and dance. And people do, right? They think, oh, it's woo woo or yeah, only for girls, but we want more men on the dance floor. It's so great when we have men on the dance floor, right? And honestly, when I first started dancing, when I first started going on the weekends, I remember it was the men that inspired me because I'd see these men that I didn't think, I had this idea that, oh, really, they're here? They were a little bit more, I don't know, I had my judgments about who they were. And they're just moving. I'm like, wow. So it really is for people of all walks of life. And it can be so scary at first, but it's once you do it, it's just more about moving, even if it's just like, I'm just going to do this for a while, and that we don't have to impress anyone or, everybody's doing their own thing. And it's fun. That's the part too, that it's not like, even when we say the move, like moving meditation, that can sound a little, oh, like it's going to be really slow and, oh, no, like we'll get you dancing.
Chaos.
I will
Actually, I do
definitely get
that.
you dancing.
I do the chaos dances and they're so fast. It's like
Oh
out
yeah.
of control, almost out of
Yeah.
control.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, come get out of control. That's what I would say to people. Let yourself get out of control.
It's
Yeah.
practicing how to be present even when things are out of control, whether it's bodily
Yeah.
functions, it's
Yeah.
emotions,
Yeah.
thoughts, or situations.
Yeah. And it's a place to give space for whatever's there, whether it's resistance or tension, or, like that is welcome, right? That can always stop us from doing things. But when you bring it and again turn toward, like, let me turn toward the resistance and see like how does that move? And boy, if you can meet it from there, it's all downhill. Easy, easy, easy. Well,
Yeah,
I
I've
say
been.
that, but it's not always. But it's a good kind of hard sometimes, facing yourself and then like, oh, okay. And then you move through
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. 15 years I've been doing this, and I still feel like a rookie, and that's the beauty of it. 15 years,
Yeah.
and I still feel like a beginner. And in other words, the beginner's mind is alive and well.
It's
There's
so
something that
important.
reminds me that each dance is a fresh new dance.
Oh, that's
There's
so
nothing
beautiful.
stale about a dance like that.
Yeah. It's funny because I get that from people who they're like, oh, I've done that work. They don't want to do, and it's like, the minute you say I've done that, it's like, no, there's always something to discover. There's always something to discover. So I love that. Yeah. Beginner's mind is every class is different, new, because we come with a whole new set of whatever's happening. So it can't be the same ever. It can't there. You cannot duplicate your dance
It's
ever.
impossible.
It's
Yeah.
impossible. Yeah.
You know, it just struck me, just like we have beginner's mind, we have a beginner's body.
Yeah.
Every
Oh, I love
single
that.
time, it's a beginner's body.
I love that.
There's
I'm going
no
to use that.
way, because our body's never the same.
Yeah.
Yesterday, my left knee was creaking. At our age, creaking is common, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I need to fix this, or oh, my neck is stiff, or oh,
Right.
okay, my shoulders, they're not
Yeah.
bouncy anymore, and
Right.
I'm just not feeling I can't even know what's going on in the pit of my stomach. So
Yeah.
every single day, if we just
Hmm.
observe our body, it's a beginner's body.
Yeah.
And
I love that. Yeah. It's
that's
really
the
true.
beauty of it. This kinesthetic experience of just being with the body. The body
Exactly. And
has a
just
mind of its own. Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. And just as we are, right? Not, I think people have this idea that you've got to be a good dancer or you've got to wear the right clothes. We just come as we are.
Yeah.
Beginners,
Lululemon is not mandatory, not even required.
Lululemon is not mandatory. Do not spend $80 on a pair of pants to come to dance. Go to Goodwill.
It's
Or not as a good one.
interesting
Go to some
because
charity
I
shop.
actually go and get clothes from my friends nowadays because then I pass it on. I go to
Yeah.
Mexico, I bring things from Mexico to India, and I become like
Yeah.
a trader because
Yeah.
somebody called me the Silk Route trader. Just bring things from here and give it. So
That's great.
well, it's such a joy reconnecting with you, Stacey.
Oh, you
And I'm
too.
so appreciative of all the work you do in the world and
Thank
the ease with which you do it, the
you. Oh,
simplicity with which you do it. I actually ended up going to not only engineering school, but also part of business school. And I was in it for a while. But from 2016, when I went full time into compassion practices, dance, music, and leadership
mhm.
practices, I feel I've got my life back.
Yeah.
The 4 years
Nice.
of getting my life back, even during the pandemic, I feel so
Yeah.
free now.
Beautiful. Love hearing that. You look
And
fabulous.
yeah, yeah,
You're just radiating, really.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's not even hair to obstruct the
I
radiation anymore.
know.
So, to anybody who's listening, I know it may sound like, what are these guys talking about? We're talking about embodied practices, just being with oneself, being in the body. And there's a lot of science to it. Just because I have a lot of geek friends, I have to just do this 30-second spiel. Um, it's essentially improving kinesthetic intelligence, understanding spatial intelligence, even musical intelligence. and emotional intelligence, understanding when someone in movement. I remember I used to almost fall on other people, or I would get too close and they would shrink like, oh, dude, this guy is the falling dude. This was, I'm talking about 2003. So somebody
Yeah.
shared in the sharing that Shankar seems to almost fall, and it's scary, especially if he's likely to fall on me. It's going to hurt a lot.
Yeah.
So, so I had to bring that in and say, okay, I need to develop idea of space between people.
Yeah.
And it's not just the physical space, it's not the verbal space, but actually space and time. There
Mm-hmm.
is a need for giving enough space. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just a metaphorical, it's also a physical concept. So there
Yeah.
was a lot of learning to do. Unfortunately, that cannot be done with books. It cannot
Yeah.
be done
No.
from the web. Zoom
Mm-mm.
is a substitute. The real life experience is embodied and face to face. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm appreciative that a lot of teachers, my teachers, including Stacy and Claire and Andrea and others, are now able to use Zoom in a limited way to convey what they do amazingly well face to face.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So
Yeah.
again, it's been a joy again reconnecting with you, Stacey. It's been
Yeah.
5 years, or I think I saw you at one of the dances last year.
Yeah. 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 It's been a
But
while.
I keep running away to Asia, so it's harder to meet you face to face.
Yeah.
And to anybody out there, there are lots of links, and we'll share a few of them with the hope that even sitting at home, you can let your body move. Many of the classes are offered completely free or on a gift economy. You pay as you go or pay whatever you like to. But it's been a blessing
Mm.
for me, and I just wanted to share that with all of you.
Mm. Yeah. Thank you
So,
so much.
thank you again. Namaste, shalom, salam. And it's a joy to be in this dance community.
Yeah. Thank you. So, so grateful to be able to chat with you.
Thank you.